So in my last video a few days ago, we covered the fact that from step 3 and below of the non-league pyramid, the season was going to be abandoned, all results null and void. Finally, the National League have come out with their stance on it today. And also, there's a lot of uproar in step 3 and below. There's over 100 teams who have written a letter of complaint about the decision to want to overturn it. We're going to look into all of it right after this. First of all, the video is sponsored by OneFootball, who are a great app to keep you up to date with all the different news that is going on during the season of football. Currently, doesn't take any genius to work out that there isn't a huge amount of actual football action on the OneFootball app, but it is a great one to download in preparation for when football will return. There's also a lot of news about coronavirus and what the scene is looking like in the world of football in a lot of different leagues across the world. The news section in particular is very useful at this time, collecting a lot of information from different leagues and putting it into one place. There's a viral videos section, a transfers section. Transfers, even though there's not going to be a huge amount happening anytime soon, but there will certainly be plenty of moves ahead of the new season. Whenever that will be, with your supporter team in the Premier League or down into the top levels of non-league, it is a good app to stay up to date with lots of different information. Fixtures, league tables, results, stats, lineups, all sorts of different things are included in this app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, the link to it will be in the top line of the description, so definitely go and check it out. I would recommend it. So the National League have released a statement today, the 31st of March. This actually comes just a few days before games are actually still, believe it or not, scheduled to happen in the National League North and South. The weekend of the 3rd and 4th of April was when the National League originally postponed games until, and that hasn't changed until today. So although obviously games are not going to happen because of the things that the government have put in place, officially, as far as the National League are concerned, games were actually still going to go ahead this weekend. Clubs are obviously doing absolutely no preparation for their games because you just know that there's no chance that it's going to happen. The statement from the National League said that the National League Board met earlier today and has reviewed its prior decision to suspend the competition until at least the 3rd of April 2020. In consideration of the very serious and unprecedented national public health emergency caused by the coronavirus, the Board has taken the decision to suspend the National League North and National League South competitions indefinitely. The National League is currently obtaining specialist legal advice, is consulting regularly with the Football Association and other stakeholders, and is committed to involving its member clubs in a pending decision on how best to conclude the 19-20 season. So they've not put all their eggs into one basket effectively with this. Obviously the rest of the leagues below them have already committed to basically just cancelling the season. The National League seem to want to take into consideration the views of the different teams and work out what the best way for everyone is to try and end the season. Ultimately, not everyone's going to be happy because there are different teams who want different outcomes to the season. Some teams who are up near the top of the league will obviously either want the games to continue, or points per game will have an impact, or the league table will be frozen if the teams are in promotion or playoff positions, for example, and they want the playoffs to happen, or they just want the promotion to happen. But you'd imagine obviously the teams in the relegation zone, they will want the season to be null and void, and the teams in the middle of the table that haven't got anything to play for probably won't be bothered either way. I get the impression that the National League are announcing this as their latest statement just to delay things a little bit, because the Premier League and Football League haven't also either come out with a concrete response to how they're going to end their seasons. So I feel like the National League kind of just wants to follow their line of thinking and go along something similar maybe. And because they haven't done anything yet the National League games are still scheduled to go ahead on the upcoming weekend. They felt they had to do something. They're not committing to one specific way of ending the season, and it is good that they are asking the clubs what they want. This decision to do this might also have been on the basis of what's happened lower down in the pyramid. As I mentioned, a lot of clubs are very unhappy with the fact that the season is going to be null and void at step 3 and below. More than 100 non-league teams have co-written a letter to send to the Football Association, asking them to urgently reconsider their decision to null and void the seasons. The letter says that our concern is grounded primarily in the needless and inexplicable haste exercised in reaching the decision, coupled with a total lack of substantive dialogue or consultation with affected clubs. The decision also disregards the millions of pounds invested and countless hours expended collectively by clubs, and so has critical financial implications. In writing this joint letter, we recognise that the decision to expunge results for the 19-20 season still pens official ratification from the FA Council. However, we believe it is unacceptable that such a decision has been handed down to us in this manner. We urgently seek constructive dialogue with the FA with the aim to have the decision reconsidered. The letter also says that if there is no consensus reached with the clubs, then they will go down the legal route. Some of the clubs have actually got their local MPs involved, getting them to go and try and make a difference, and a lot of these local MPs are actually supporting their clubs' decisions to do so, because they see these clubs as really important parts of their community, and particularly these clubs that are doing well at the top of their leagues, they are potentially looking to get promoted, and that will help them build more in their community. If you look at it the opposite way, the teams that are coming down will have the opposite effect, for example, but still it's taking away that right that these teams have of a chance to get promotion. These clubs in total, if you add it together, it's millions of pounds. Even though it is just non-league football, millions of pounds will have been spent, and countless thousands of hours from hundreds and hundreds of volunteers and employees will have gone into this to try and get their team promoted effectively. And that work, for a lot of people, is now completely pointless. The FA and the government want grassroots clubs to thrive, but this is going to make it a lot more difficult for a lot of these clubs. It's certainly be interesting to see whether this letter changes anything and what the National League decide to do in the future, whether that goes against what has happened from Step 3 and below, or whether they go down the same route. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out, and I'll try and keep up to date with it as quick as I can and everything that's going on with this situation on this channel. So remember to click subscribe to stay up to date with all of the latest football, non-league, coronavirus news. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Do you think the National League have done the right thing to put out a bit of an ambiguous, uncertain sort of statement to say, you know, it's the season's suspended indefinitely, but we don't really know what's going to happen to the rest of the season yet? Do you think it's right that they have included the clubs in trying to get the right decision that everyone is going to be most happy with? No one's going to be completely happy with it, let's be honest. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and click subscribe as well. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.